Hey y'all, how y'all? Three, two, one. Hey everybody, my name is Atsez. I'm with Team 5 and Lab 81. We're going to be talking about reusing rainwater. I'll give you guys a little bit of an outline over where we're going to be going in our PowerPoint presentation. We're going to give some background information about reusing rainwater and how it's been done in the past. Give you guys a little proposal over what we think the right thing to do is and how we could use it. A video over showing you guys a video over rainwater harvesting, some successful implementations of other schools internationally and nationally that have used this before and are currently using it and what their goals are in the future. And then Savannah will be going over the scheduling and staffing to give you guys a little bit of an information about that, to see how it would be working in Texas State. And then we'd be going over budgeting, funding, to give you guys a little bit of information over those as well, as far as how it would look with money and everything. And then we'd be talking about the benefits and the takeaways that we'd be getting from this and how it would be helping our environment and how we could be trendsetters as far as states and other universities taking this next step towards creating a more reliable and sustainable environment in their campus. You guys a little bit of a background information. Harvesting rainwater has been in use for centuries, thousands of years. It goes all the way back to the ancient Roman times. Mostly harvesting rainwater was for farming. And that's how they would get most of the water in areas that would farm throughout the world. And then something that the UN recently put up in the past couple of years, and they're really pushing towards this issue right now, is what will happen after 2042. After 2042, the damage that we have done to the earth as far as global warming and climate change and not using our resources properly, it's going to get to a point to where the damage is not going to be reversible. So what other countries throughout the world have been doing, especially in Europe, has been a lot of countries have been going green. What that means is they'll be cutting down on carbon emissions, they'll be using solar power and stuff like that to create a better environment for themselves. And then there's also sustainable universities as well. We'll be talking over that in a couple of slides. So this is our proposal right here. Give you guys a little picture on the right side as well of what would be happening if we were to make this change at campus or even at our homes. So the rainwater would basically be hitting the rooftops, and then it would go inside of the tank, which there's multiple filtering processes and flushes that it goes through, and then it would be coming out all the way at the end. There's a lot of things that go into this. I don't want to bore you guys with the details, but basically it would be coming down to potable and non-potable uses. The potable use, it basically means it's filtered. It goes through the filtration systems, which the tank, by the way, it all happens inside of there. And that's where the clean water will be kept as well, and then it pumped back in. It is FDA approved, so. And then the other thing would be the non-potable system. Non-potable is basically not filtered, and what that means is that we could use it for toilet flushing, clothes washing, watering our plants, using it for AC systems, things that don't require us to drink filtered water. And potable, which is filtered, would go back to drinking water. We could cook with it, we could wash our vegetables with it, wash our hands with it. So yeah. Then here's a little video for you guys.
Did you know that 70%
And then the successful implementations that I was talking about, universities abroad, internationally. The biggest one would be the South Wales in Sydney, Australia. They are reducing their water waste and they're making sure that recycling is easy throughout campus. All the universities that are listed abroad are basically trying to reduce carbon emissions, but a lot of these that are on the list, they are doing a lot of programs to where they're teaching more about sustainability, like the Finland university. Also, they actually have a couple master's programs over sustainability, which is going to be, I feel like, going to be a big thing in the future because we're going to be in need. We're going to be in need and we're not realizing it right now because we're not using our resources properly, but that will be helping out a lot. The University of Manchester did something very interesting. They have a music festival that's called Blue Dot, and that implements zero waste of all aspects. They do 100% recycling. They want to do zero waste as far as carbon goes and reduce the carbon footprint by telling friends and family to ride together. They have coaches there that'll tell you what to do. And they also collect all the food waste that is there and recycle that as well. And then as far as the universities that are national, the North Carolina, Chapel Hill, they have 3 goals actually. They want to do the net zero water usage. They want to do zero waste landfill, and they also want to do net zero greenhouse gas emissions. Again, a lot of things are going to be happening, and with the UN saying what they said by 2040, how everything will be irreversible, everybody wants to do their part, and we should too. Berkeley also aims for carbon neutral. They're hoping to do that in the next couple of years. And then they also want to do zero waste as far as food goes. And they just don't want to have any, they're doing a lot of recycling as well throughout campus. Then I believe this is it for me. Savannah will be speaking next to you guys about her scheduling.
All right, so this is our planned schedule for the reusable rainwater. So our first action will take place June 21st. So we would have to inform students and staffs about reusable rainwater through the university website and pass out flyers throughout campus. And then we would have to create a budget with Texas State Board of Directors and the Sustainability Department through July 12th and the 14th. And then we would have to purchase supplies, equipment, machinery on July 22nd through the 24th. And then we would have to hire laborers and constructors, which will take place July 26th through August 2nd. And then the decision location, August 4th. And then the first day installment and implementation, August 6th. All right, and as for the staffing, the roles and positions will be plumbers and landscapers. All right, and then for the plumbers, the responsibility for them is the installation of catchments and detention basins and conveyance systems, and they will be paid $80 per hour. And for the landscaper, they are responsible for the maintenance of drainage systems and filters, and they will be paid $45 per hour. All right, now I'll just give this to Trinity as she talks about the budgeting.
Thank you, Savannah. My name is Trinity, and I'm going to be talking about the budgeting and funding today. So people on average use about 80 to 100 gallons of water per day, and this is based on average use of using toilets, showering, food, any costs that have to do with using water. And we are going to be talking about all of the different budgeting that goes into using water resources today. So on average, Texas State could install 26 rainwater collection systems to sustain students on campus, and that comes from a number of using information about Texas State student body that resides on campus, which is 68,000 students. And if you multiply the 68,000 students by the average water per day, and for calculation purposes, we will be using 80 gallons of water per day because it's the lowest number. And then we will multiply the average of 0.92 cents per gallon, and it would be $500,480 per day. And with us installing 26 rainwater collection systems to sustain students on campus, then we would only have to install $18,000 to install pipes and relay turf, and the total of the entire project would be $538,000. Going on, we would have to buy, in regards to fall 2020, Texas State University had a total of 37,849 students enrolled. And by adding $14.22 to tuition, it would fund this project to be paid off in the first year. With the budgeting total, it would be $5,3,800, which can be a lot, but if you only took $14.22 per student times multiplied by the 37,849 students, then we would have approximately $5,212.78, which would fully fund this project. Next on, we have Rivwe, and he's going to further explain.
Some benefits from the use of rainwater collecting systems as far as Texas State goes are, first off, it lessens the depletion of Edwards Aquifer and other freshwater systems. Right now, Edwards Aquifer is going to be what's providing most of our fresh water, and it's in the general area around us in Austin, especially in San Marcos right now, and consequently Texas State University. Right now, however, the San Marcos Springs flow is down 66 feet, or basically it's flowing a lot slower than it usually would be. And this causes, or is known as, shrinkage. Shrinkage is something that happens to every freshwater system just due to overuse and lack of control as far as how municipal companies are pumping that water out to us. The use of rainwater collecting systems will actually deplete that shrinkage, however, and based on high growth, it actually does that very swiftly and very well. The water provided from these rainwater collection systems is also beneficial for the dry season when the shrinkage is very rampant. Another benefit would be the decrease of the risk of flooding in the wet season. So rainwater collecting systems actually have a second purpose other than helping during the dry season. During the wet season, they can actually be used to help kind of pivot the flow of floodwaters and push them away from from buildings that contain, our weirs and our different things that we have that we want to protect. Last benefit will probably be the lowering of future water bills. When we switch over to a rainwater collecting systems, we actually dispose or don't have to pay the expensive of pumping that water in and treating that water from the municipal systems as it comes from the freshwater systems like Edwards Aquifer. Doing so also qualifies us for tax incentives and many other benefits that include a lower overall future bill. Right now, we currently pay a very high bill as far as everything that goes into water supply. But once we choose to go into a rainwater collecting system, we'll be able to have a good amount of groundwater available to us. We'll have enough water to use and be able to be kind of steadfast when it comes to the cost of water. As it goes up, we'll be able to know that we have enough water and we can provide our own water because we have switched over to a rainwater collecting system. Lastly, some takeaways from switching over to this rainwater system is just choosing to increase that tuition by $14.22 actually helps open up many possibilities. First of all, is that increased enrollment from students wanting to be a part of our sustainability processes and programs. Then there's also tax incentives that comes with using a rainwater system. Lastly, there's also that lower bills that we talked about before. There's also more available fresh water because we'll be providing ourselves with our own rainwater and not using the water from the aquifers. And lastly, it helps with that flood damage prevention that I also talked about before. Going along with our proposal creates a safer and more sustainable campus students will love and flock to. And honestly, it's a very good idea that I hope y'all take into account. So now, is there any questions that I can answer for y'all? All right. If there are none, then I just want to say thank you all for taking the time to listen to us. And I really hope you enjoyed our presentation.